Don't tell anybody what you want to do. Don't ask your best friend, don't ask your mom, don't ask your family. Just start now. That's what I do. When I want to do something, when I want to launch something, I don't even ask my husband. I just come and say, today I launched this thing. Because everyone will have something to tell you, like, this might not work. They don't mean bad. They want to cover your back. But guess what? You will learn from your mistakes and you'll be better. If you make a mistake, you will never make that mistake again. You have to be a risk taker. So take the risk and start now. Stop asking questions. Stop asking advice. Stop thinking someone has an answer for you. No, you are the answer to yourself. Start now.
From CNR JUTA De BEER, imi nomsindisi wesizwe, umvelisi Mngqangomeli wesizwe, formerly known as Lwazi Madonsela, bringing you a show about creative entrepreneurs live from the landmark that not only birth SA street culture but also formalize the street hustle. On today's episode, we have Anyiko Owoko. CNR JUTA De BEER, umsindisi wesizwe, special edition. Thank God for the savings. Today we have a special edition. I say we're an international podcast, and yo, it's happening for real. We got a publicist, a PR leader, game changer, former broadcaster. You still dabble in it.
Yes.
We have Anyiko Owoko.
Yes, you got it right. Thank you for having me, Lwazi.
I'm excited to have you.
I'm so excited. You're so amazing. I saw your content and I was like, oh my God, it's such a big production. Then I came here and it's just one person. He's a superstar. It's a one-man show, man. I love it.
So it's a one-man show. I think the biggest question I had, right, is like, we're always sitting, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're moving into an AI world. We were talking about how there's software to clean audio, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why do you feel there's still need for artist representation in this AI world where it's like, but I can post it on Instagram, I can boost it like this, 2, 1, 2, 3. Why do artists still need representation?
Why do artists still need representation? I think they do because everything is inspired by the human touch or the innovations that we're still creating. So if we rely so much on AI or technology, then we're losing the personal touch. And I think when we talk about the personal touch, we talk about talent, creative, like it's very individual to each and every person, to each country, to each culture. So I still need that human touch because when I meet with somebody and talk to them or see them creating something, it's way different from a technology. And a good example is what happened during COVID. You know, we didn't have to meet anyone. We didn't have to go anywhere. All the meetings were virtual. You were just at home wearing your pajamas forever. And I got tired of that. I mean, it was cool for a moment when it was like, oh, I'm making money and I don't have to see somebody. But after months, it becomes depressing. Like, we need to be out there. We need to connect. We need to have exhibitions. We need events. I need to sit with an editor and see them how they're editing my video. Like, that gives me life. So I want the AI and I need the technology to make my work faster and easier. But from time to time, as a creative, I need that personal touch to give me back life. Otherwise, it becomes so dull, boring, bland, and depressing.
Damn. I sat back and I'm like, yo, you're doing some phenomenal work. How is it that you are selling culture to the whole continent? Because that's what you specialize in. If you're working with multi-corps, Coca-Cola, Netflix, everyone's coming in for you to specialize.
Yes.
How do you sell, let's say, an act? Let's say I'm an act as a broadcaster. How do you then publicize me throughout Africa to these different cultures?
That's a really good question. I mean, it's different. It's different for every artist. It's different in every country. And what I came to learn, especially when I started working with Coke Studio in 2015, I started to learn that there's a very diverse media landscape in each and every country. So in the beginning, I didn't know that. You know, I didn't know that we would have to translate press releases in Portuguese for Moza market, Swahili in Tanzania. And it is crazy because even at that point, I didn't know how different it would have been to run the game, even in the countries next door. So I think what I came to learn is there's a lot of different things working in the industry in different countries, and as a PR professional you really have to crack that. So one way that I learned how to move forward and how to be able to market brands and artists successfully across the continent was to first have my soldiers on ground. You know, I could know people in South Africa, in Ghana, whatever, but it's different when you're not on ground. So what I came to learn from my entire experience working with various creatives and artists and promoting them across the continent is there's no two ways about it. You have to have partnerships, you have to have collaborations. So I have people working with Anyiko PR in each of the key markets, and they are our eyes and ears on the ground. So it's easy for me to distribute press releases or make calls or whatever, but the people on ground tell you this is working now, this is not working. They will accompany the artists when they go for interviews or events or whatever. So it's a different ball game in each and every country. There are different challenges that you will experience in another country. So basically, you just have to make every content and information and approach and pitch market specific to the individual countries that you're doing the PR. So when I cracked that, it was so easy for me. It was so easy. Now it's so easy because I cracked that.
How do you target partnerships? I heard you say you'd wait outside an event, stalk this person, that person. How do you target those relationships?
I target partnerships by looking at, different creatives and individuals, similar individuals who are doing things that inspire me. Like even just being here and meeting with you, seeing your podcast, listening, seeing your content, seeing the aesthetic has already inspired me so much, even being in your studio. So the next time I'm looking for a partner for podcasting, it's just going to be Lwazi, level. So I think I'm inspired by high African achievers and achievement and dope content, dope innovation, and also people who have that worldly and global view of African music. You have to be looking beyond your border, your country. You have to think, I'm a superstar, I'm a musician. I want to make it big in Southern Africa or Western Africa or Eastern Africa. So it's really hard for me to even be able to work with artists who don't see themselves beyond their region. And I can't make you see yourself beyond a region. So we just have to be like-minded in that sense, because from the moment I came out in the industry, I knew very well that I wanted to be in the African space. I wanted to promote everyone I'm working with across the continent. And I think when I wanted to do that, that's how I built my brand, that's how I built my business, that's how I pitch myself out, and that's how I get opportunities to work with various creatives across the continent.
You're a broadcaster, you're doing well, 5 years running. You get your dream job at that time.
Yeah.
What's that thing? Say, I think we can take it to the next level. I think we can sell this, because you're sitting down with an act, but now you see more. What's that thing that made you see more?
I think as somebody who started as a broadcaster, because my first job was at the BBC Africa, not Africa, but BBC Swahili, Nairobi Bureau in Nairobi. I was a broadcast assistant on a radio show called Kimasomaso. Then I got my TV job at KBC, which is the national broadcaster, and I was hosting a show called Grapevine, and it's the longest running entertainment magazine show. And then I started writing for various publications. So what I saw, as somebody who's kind of clairvoyant, I saw that the industry was fast changing. Working for a national broadcaster, they're always so laid back, old school. Some of the videos we were shooting were not allowed to be on YouTube. I had to fight for them to be on YouTube. But I saw a future where digital was going to be king and queen. And that was why I chose to make an exit, because I knew I was going to get lost in traditional media, and I didn't want to stay in the traditional media world. I wanted to embrace the new media, and I saw it coming. So even now in Kenya, it's just starting to become a big thing, this whole podcasting, posting content online. Some people don't have a podcast, but they're shooting dope content and putting it out on Instagram and stuff like that. I think Tanzania was ahead of us already for many reasons. They have a bigger population, their internet access is cheaper, some of their some of the telecommunications companies actually giving them, say, Instagram for free. So you get the line and you get Instagram for free. So a lot of people already were running businesses, brands on IG, specifically in Tanzania. That wasn't the case in Nairobi and in Kenya. But now Kenya's just like gone into this whole new media space, like boom, everyone has a podcast, everyone is doing this. But I was doing this already from 2018. This, what I'm talking about, like this boom, this is just like a 12-month thing that has happened like in the past 1 year or 2 years, maybe since COVID as well, because a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of journalists, let me say that, or broadcasters, since COVID happened. So what happens to all these broadcasters who can actually be on traditional radio and TV? They have to, create podcasts and stuff. So I started this in 2018, and even though some of my content is on there and doesn't have like so much views, I'm happy. I saw that was the future, and I got into it, and I'm a veteran in that sense.
What opportunities have you found beyond you being a PR, beyond being a broadcaster?
There are many opportunities I've found beyond being a PR person. I think one of them is being respected as a voice, being respected as a representative of Kenya in Africa. That's not what I set out to be. Was just setting out to promote artists because I loved them, or I thought people from other countries or in my country need to know them. But through that work, I started being respected as a cultural connoisseur, or I don't know, a voice. And that's not what I set out to do. So I'm very happy that it brought me to where I am today. So I've gotten opportunities to travel far and wide. I mean, I was in Saudi Arabia speaking at a music conference called XP Music Futures, and I was the only one representing East Africa. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Being here in South Africa is because of, my job, not just the PR, but I was invited by Hoteng Tourism as somebody who's into culture or a cultural shaper or a voice. And so they were like, we want you to come and experience South Africa. We want to take you to the townships. We want to take you to Kunye and enjoy the music. We want to take you to the cradle of humankind. So I really appreciate that they see me as somebody who would be seen in these places, and other people from my region, East Africa, would want to come to South Africa and also enjoy these different aspects of culture and music and food and townships. So I love that. I didn't set out for that, but I've come to see that my work in PR has actually made me influential in many ways. And that also is another business. I would always hustle to find clients and stuff, but then it took me a while to realize that I'm the business. I'm a business as well. It's not just my PR, but I'm a business. Just you calling me somewhere, you need to pay me. But I didn't know that until I was called and paid. And now I was like, oh, okay, so I could actually be paid to talk, or I could be paid and to come to a country and visit. Like, this just happened for me. So I'm also kind of in the sense of I'm still growing, I'm still learning, I'm still discovering, and I'm just starting to crack the business that is me, not my PR and my company. Yeah.
There's a lot of PR students, a lot of people are studying, but we're seeing that the growth for PR has migrated from the traditional way to people being social media managers and migrating to digital. What would you say is the gap for the unemployed kids, the unemployed youth who are actually qualified in this field, for them to create their own business?
I feel like there's always a huge gap when it comes to PR and the field of artists and the creative industry, because that's where I am. When I wanted to join PR, there was no PR agencies like mine. There was no publicist who was doing what I'm doing now. So there was nobody I could look up to and feel like I could have a career being a publicist to an artist. All the other PR agencies are so corporate, They want to get the Coca-Colas, they want to get, I don't know which are the big brands, but very corporate projects. So how I started out as being a publicist to the stars or to the independent artists, and then slowly the big companies and brands started calling me for their cultural projects, because I'm still exclusive to artists and the creative sector. So if Coca-Cola is having a music show and it's involving artists, they call Anyiko. But if they would just be selling soda, they would not call me, or if they called me, I wouldn't do it. So I feel like it's important for PR agencies and PR people to clearly set a good example or a business model that also works for the other side. It's not always everything has to be corporate. And also when it's so corporate, that you miss the culture part of it. Like, it's just like they do random stuff. Like, it's like I'm driving around and I see billboards with models. I'm like, what are these models doing on this bill? I don't know this face. I want to see my favorite superstar on the billboard. Or I want to see my favorite superstar eating food and telling me I need to buy this plate or glass or something. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for the PR people to be able to match brands with the artists, with the art, with the culture. And it's happening in so many countries. It's happening in SA, in America, it's happening in Uganda, in Tanzania. It's not happening in my country the way I want it to happen. And I think what I would encourage the young PR people coming up is set a path for yourself. Find out what you're interested in. I'm interested in artists and the creative culture and sector. Maybe you're interested in tech. Maybe you're interested in fashion. Maybe you're interested in TV. You could be a specific publicist and an agency to the arts and craft or the whatever I would say whatever field you want to be in, it doesn't have to be music, but it's very important to first figure out where you want to go, because when you go to the corporate agencies, then they just throw you in the deep end and they do pretty much everything. They don't really specify on anything. They're just there to collect the money. But ask yourself, like, do I just want to work in an agency where I'm swamped Monday to Friday? I'm not doing anything I'm passionate at. So you have to first figure out what you want to do. What are you passionate at? I find that PR is very, very personal. It's a passion project. How am I going to convince you to listen to this song or to book this artist or to go to an event of an artist if I don't even like that artist or that music, or it's not actually popping? Because when you play the music or even you take it to the radio, people, they'll be like, that's boring. So when I hear a song and it's not moving me, when I talk to an artist and the story is just bland, I just know this is not going to work. And if you're a PR person and you're trying to promote things that you don't even believe in, it will never be successful. So it starts with figuring out what works, what you like, what you feel like you could actually uplift based on the resolve you have for that project. You know, I work for various music platforms. I'm not allowed to say which one specifically, but they always tell us, like, don't send us music that you don't strongly feel about. You know, if you send us an artist and say, hey, give this artist placement, you have to believe that this artist is going to be a major star in the next 1 year or 2 years. So that's a big thing when you're told that. I'll always ask myself, like, where do I see this artist in the next 6 months? You can't have one doubt in your head. And I feel like that's how to have a successful PR run, successful campaign. Yeah.
How do I then, as an aspiring publicist, aspiring PR act, how do I package an artist?
Okay, there are various ways of packaging artists, and I think the problem comes when you're trying to package all different clients the same way. So how to package an artist will depend on the artist, first of all, who they are, because different artists need different packaging, need different type of PR and branding. So the very first thing, I feel like, if you're an artist and someone gets in contact with you or hears of you, what do they see? What do they hear? What's your narrative? So it's like, even if you're trying to get bookings for gigs, bookings for media, bookings for travel and tour, you have to present sort of a deck to show, this is who I am, this is my music, this is my style, or this is the previous work I've done. So there are various communication assets that have to be put in place. I think in the past, the websites were king and queen, and now nobody really cares about the websites. People want to see your IG, you know, your TikTok, your Twitter, even not so much. But IG is really taking a lead on the branding. So I feel like it's important for the PR person to be able to try package that artist so that it's not like your bio looks amazing, your story sounds amazing, but when I look at your Instagram, it's not even been posting the past like 1 week or something. I think the most important thing is to have consistent communication across platforms, and just to realize that the social media right now is key. Like, I'd rather you don't have a website and you don't have a bio, but your Instagram is on point. Because if you're trying to tell people, book me for gigs, but I go to your Instagram and I see something like Burna Boy's Instagram where he's posting all the concerts, you know, all the interaction he's having with fans, that's enough. No one is going to say, oh, send me a bio and show me, I want to read everywhere he's performed. You can just go to the Instagram and see. So I think we just have to have new ways of thinking. There's still this very traditional way that, oh, you have to have decks and go and, I don't know, do presentations. Nobody cares for that anymore. Just have your social media on deck. You know, if you're an artist who's a performing artist, I have to see your concerts. If you say you're a recording artist and you're a dope songwriter, I have to see that somehow. Find ways of doing short clips or whatever and posting them on the social media. If you're a fashion icon, your Instagram has to show me you're a fashion icon. You can't be like, oh, I'm a publicist to the stars, but if you go to my social media, it's just me and my grandma. Well, my grandma is a star because she got me 100,000 views on TikTok.
Shout out grandma.
But you get my point. Yeah.
Yo, the decks. Speaking of the decks, they still come into play when we're talking to brands, because you're the ones figuring out how much it actually costs for this superstar. Because you represented various stars, RIP, AKA, most of the stars that we are aware of in South Africa.
Yeah.
It's because of the groundwork you guys have laid, especially exporting them to the greater Africa. How do you then talk to brands, say, yo, this partnership, like the DSPs you do work with, this partnership with this act for this release makes sense for us in Kenya because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How do you start those conversations?
To be honest, I haven't been doing those type of conversations because in the beginning I was exclusively running the PR. So basically I'll just contact the DSPs and be like, oh, this artist is here. And so we're trying to find ways of plugging this artist on the local DSP. Local, I mean in Kenya or in East Africa. So for the DSPs, it comes without... there's no question for them. It's like, this is a major star from whatever the part of the continent. So for them, it's actually an honor to have this specific artist. I think what I have been doing and what is very important is to make sure I'm matching the global artists and brands to the right contacts locally and in our region, because you might be a major artist in South Africa and you come to Kenya, and if you really don't know where you should align your brand, you might align your brand with other platforms or media or whatever that is not aligned to your brand or is not matching up to your brand. So for me is to look at the brand and I'm like, okay, well, this is an artist at this level, and make sure if you come to my region or my country, you are at the same level, or I see how to raise your brand higher than the level it already is at.
Talking about the levels, how important is research in your company?
Research is everything. Oh my God, we're researching every second, everything. I mean, it doesn't ever stop. So first of all, I don't know even where to start. So when it comes to the media industry, it's ever evolving, ever changing, in the sense that even the people working at different institutions are always leaving. People are being poached from one media to another. So we are always constantly checking, are you still here? Are you still using this email? That's a lot of work, and we do it every day. And imagine doing that, all the contacts in Kenya, in South Africa, in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Tanzania, in Uganda. It's never ending. So that's one. Two, as a PR professional, when you're representing your artist, you have to know who are the other artists out, what are the other songs which are out, are they chatting? So there's a lot of research just finding out this week what's playing on the radio, who's number one, who's that person and why are they number one, what are people talking about, and there's also everything that is being reported on. I have to know everything. Like we have to know like who was on the newspaper, who attended which events, like whose album is being reviewed where. Because when you meet with your clients and they want to work with you, like why would they want to work with me and not another publicist or agent? It's because I'm a music dictionary. I will tell you which songs are chatting on which playlist or whatever. So research is everything. And I always encourage my team back at home. I'm like, make sure you're following the right pages. A lot of people talk about social media saying, it can be a waste of time, especially kids growing up now. Social media is spoiled everything. For me, I don't think it spoils everything, and I don't think it's a bad thing to always be on social media because I'm always on social media. But if you're curating the experiences and the pages you're following, it's a very powerful thing, very powerful. Because even for the media people, some of them that we want to reach out to them and they're in different countries, we just send them a DM and we're like, hi, are you still working here? And that's how even I reach out to major stars. And sometimes I'm doing it even for friends at home, people in the industry, they want to book someone, and they just ask me, could you ask this person this thing? Like another agency even wanted to reach out to Blitz Ambassador, and they were like, how do we reach out to him? Like, I mean, you DM him, and they're like, he obviously is not going to respond. But honestly, when I DM like superstars, they respond to me. So I just... blue check. I guess, or I don't know. So I just send him a message like, hi, Blitz, like these people would like to book you for something. Would you be available? Like, at this time I'm not, because I'm like launching my book. But that's the power I'm telling you social media has given me and us that we didn't have, say, 10 years ago. So research is everything. So if you're following the right people and you need any information, you'll find it so much easier on social media.
Juta De Beer. This is I call it the Free Mentors podcast.
Okay.
We connect with our mentors for free. Our most important question in our podcast when we close it up, as always, what's your word to the youth?
My word for the youth is start now, not today. there's always these questions like, where do I start? How do I build my brand? So many questions. And for me, I'm giving advice that I would give to my younger self. When I was younger, I wanted to do so many things. I wanted to start a festival. I wanted to, I don't know, go to another country. And I would ask my peers, older people in the industry, and all of them would tell me all the things that would go wrong. Like, you'll need support, you might this, people might cheat you, you're young. And I realized in retrospect, when I came to the age of 30, because now I'm 35, I looked back and I was like, damn, I would have done more between 20 and 30 if I hadn't talked to all the people who discouraged me, who told me all the things that could have gone wrong. So this is my advice. Don't tell anybody what you want to do. Don't ask your best friend, don't ask your mom, don't ask your family. Just start now. That's what I do. When I want to do something, when I want to launch something, I don't even ask my husband. I just come and say, today I launched this thing. Because everyone will have something to tell you, like, this might not work. They don't mean bad. They want to cover your back. But guess what? You will learn from your mistakes and you'll be better. If you make a mistake, you will never make that mistake again. You have to be a risk taker. So take the risk and start now. Stop asking questions. Stop asking advice. Stop thinking someone has an answer for you. No, you are the answer to yourself. Start now.
Yeah, Kona Juta De Beer. Like and subscribe. DSPs in Kenya, I hope you're watching this. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me, Lwazi.
This was beautiful. I'm going to start now.